Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that the video is going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine, as you can see. Kisumu is fantastic, and maybe you could also let me know where you're watching the video from. The county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, we don't have power. Powers disappeared. Maybe someone somewhere is trying to justify why we need Adani. I'm actually using some solar lights. But I wanted to talk about Fred Okengo Matiang'i and his 2027 presidential bid. Because you all know that in August this year, news emerged in the Republic of Kenya that Fred Matiang'i had actually hired some Canadian lobby to study his prospects for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya in 2027. And Kenyans were really excited at the possibility of Fred Okengo Matiang'i becoming a presidential candidate in 2027. But Matiang'i has disappeared. Nobody knows where Matiang'i is. So in this video, I want to address Fred Matiang'i that he must make the decision of running for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya in 2027 now. Because if you want to do that, Kenyans will shame him. But before we get into all those details, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two. Click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether we are going to catch up with the solar lights. The rate at which it's disappearing is actually worrying me. Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to figure out why Matiang'i must make that decision now. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But again, before I dive in, allow me to also take this opportunity to introduce you guys to LemFi. LemFi is a mobile money app for users in the UK, Canada, and the United States of America to send money back to Kenya. They offer the best exchange rates, and the money will be delivered instantly into your M-Pesa account, Airtel Money account, and of course, if you want, directly into your bank account. You can use the link in the pinned comment to download the app. Ladies and gentlemen, let us dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Okengo Matiang'i must decide by the end of the year whether he wants to become the president of the Republic of Kenya in 2027 or not. Because Kenyans also needs to make a decision. One of the biggest issues Kenyans have been debating about is whether there is a candidate who can easily defeat William Ruto. Because there's a general agreement in the Republic of Kenya that William Ruto has become very unpopular, and that William Ruto is the easiest president to remove from office via the ballot. But the question has always been, who can remove William Samoei Arap Ruto? So at some point, there were general consensus that Fred Matiang'i can be that candidate. We've also seen Okia Omtata declaring his bid. I don't think there is much we can expect from that based on what I'm observing. Of course, there's also Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who has the best chance. But Kalonzo is not taking his 2027 presidential bid seriously. So Kenyans had high hopes on Fred Okengo Matiang'i. But because politics is dynamic and it keeps on changing, a lot of other factors are also changing. For example, it was expected that if Matiang'i were to run for the presidency, if he were to declare his interest, he was going to declare with the support of the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. As we speak, Uhuru Kenyatta is currently working with William Ruto. We can't say whether he will support William Ruto in 2027 or not. But Fred Matiang'i must make that decision now. Why am I saying so? Number one is political realignment. You see, a day in politics, they always say, is a very long time. A lot of things can change. We are now seeing William Ruto embracing Uhuru Kenyatta. Fred Matiang'i was assumed to be a candidate of Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, one of the major factors determining presidential elections and the candidates is the ability to raise the campaign funds. So most people were sitting pretty that if Matiang'i were to declare his bid with the support of Uhuru Kenyatta, he was going to have deep pockets to challenge William Ruto. So because of the political realignment, Kalonzo, Fred Matiang'i, and all those must agree whether they're going to go solo or whether they're going to go as a coalition. But even if they were to go as a coalition, it means that Fred Matiang'i must first of all declare that I, Fred Okengo Matiang'i, am running, and he must do it now so that those political realignments can take place. So that's number one. Number two, 2025 is going to be a defining moment for the Republic of Kenya. Kenyans are going to decide in 2025, very early, before March, whether they are going to re-elect William Ruto. Forget about what we are witnessing today, because now if elections were to be held today, William Ruto will not get votes. So Kenyans will decide whether to re-elect Ruto or to re-elect someone else. So the question is, if Kenyans will not be electing Ruto and they are going for someone else, who will be that person? That's where Fred Matiang'i now comes in. And in my considered opinion, it would be good for Matiang'i to declare that bid right now, when the momentum is still there, when William Ruto is still hated, so that even if other things will change, his name will be outside there. So he must. Number three, one of the things which is required to win the presidency, apart from numbers, apart from finance, is what is called the winning formation. The day Fred Matiang'i will declare that I, Fred Okengo Matiang'i, has declared my interest in running for the presidency, the next day we will unveil a team. So crafting a team is not easy. Remember, let me just take you to those who've become presidents since the promulgation of the new constitution. Mwai Kibaki. Mwai Kibaki was a member of parliament, a minister, blah, blah. At least at some point he was elected. Let us move on. Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta was a member of parliament, nominated, minister, fit, he became a president. William Ruto, a former member of parliament, minister, president. Matiang'i has only been a minister. So which means for him, he will require time to come up with a winning formation. And 2027 is going to be the defining moment, the way I'm telling you. Then we are going to have 2026. That will be now campaign period. So it's only those few years, and Kalonzo and Fred Matiang'i will have to do a lot in terms of groundworks. 3 years is a very short time for a presidential candidate. So he must start now. Unlike Kalonzo, whose name has always been there, he was on the ballot, it's easy for Kalonzo. But for him, he must get out. He must deal with the government infiltration because they will infiltrate his camp. He must be ready to deal with the propaganda. He must be willing to firefight here and there. But that winning formation, he needs it. Number 3, or is it number 4? Number 4 is what I normally call resource mobilization. 2027 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya is going to be one of the most expensive elections in the Republic of Kenya. The Washosh guys are having a field day. You can feel them on the ground here, everywhere. William Ruto will do everything possible to win back his seat. He's already the president. For Kalonzo and for Matiang'i and any other presidential candidate for that matter, they'll require a lot of money to counter William Ruto. So Fred Matiang'i can only raise those monies after declaring his bid, because he might actually declare his bid and then backfire. And lastly, there is also some two very important aspects, and that's why he needs to form that team now. He needs to craft the messaging. What is he going to tell Kenyans outside there? How is he going to react to propaganda? What kind of propaganda would he want outside? So he must be able to craft messaging, which will take time. Then he will also be required to create grassroots networks across the country. Zika Kalonzo is a Wiper party leader. He has to campaign. Wiper, at least at some point, I think that must have been 2017 campaign, when Hassan Omar was the Secretary General of Wiper. I would accompany him to some of those events. I remember we went to Kisii. At least for him, he has people he can call around. For Matiang'i, he will have to start from square zero. Create grassroots networks. Identify people who can help him protect the votes. Because one of the biggest issues in the Republic of Kenya is vote rigging. How will Fred Matiang'i come up with a winning team, messaging, raise money, and of course, create that networks? It means time is not on his side. So you must make that decision now and tell Kenyans that, Kenyans, I hired some Canadian firm to check my prospects, and they've told me, unfortunately, that the percentage are still low, so I'm not going to run. But if he intends to run, he must do it now. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.